Coming up on KPBS Evening Edition, the attorney who successfully argued Roe v. Wade nearly 40 years ago weighs in on the contraception debate.
And the Camp Pendleton Marine finds himself in the middle of a free speech debate over his Facebook page. KPBS Evening Edition starts now.
Hello, thanks for joining us. I'm Joanne Ferrian.
I'm Dwayne Brown. The Marine Corps says it's looking into a politically oriented Facebook page run by a Camp Pendleton Marine. Sergeant Gary Stein calls it the Armed Forces Tea Party. He says he's trying to encourage military members to exercise their First Amendment rights. The Marine Corps says it wants to be sure he's not violating Defense Department rules against service members sponsoring political clubs or advocating either way on a candidate or issue. The page has been up since 2010, but it drew attention when he posted a message saying he would not follow orders from President Barack Obama. Stein later said he would not follow illegal orders.
An El Cajon City Councilwoman has resigned abruptly just a few days after FBI agents searched her home and her former businesses. Jillian Hanson Cox has been on the council since 2004 and is a past president of the Mother Goose Parade Association. So far, the FBI has not revealed the reason for the searches. Next week, the remaining council members will have to decide whether to appoint a replacement or to leave the office open until the November election. San Diego Councilman and mayoral candidate Carl DeMaio says the city needs to look at how much overtime the fire department is racking up. As part of his annual report on the city's payroll, DeMaio says overtime costs for the fire department spiked by $16.5 million. Nearly $12 million of that was budgeted because of the end of the engine brownouts. The firefighters union says more people are working overtime because there are fewer firefighters overall. The ranks have been trimmed by about 200 over the past few years.
Scripps Mercy Hospital has made some changes, firing some staff members after an investigation found wrongdoing involving nursing homes. UT San Diego says 4 case managers there were fired for illegally taking gifts from a nursing home owner, then steering patients into certain homes without giving them a choice. State law says patients are supposed to get a choice and caseworkers are not supposed to make recommendations. The matter was investigated by the Department of Public Health and State Justice Department. No criminal charges have been filed.
A county prosecutor and a former San Diego police sergeant pleaded not guilty today to charges of ticket fixing, and they entered their pleas by fax machine. The prosecutor is Allison Warden, also known as Allison DeBow. The officer is Kevin Friedman, a 27-year veteran of the police force. The district attorney's office says Warden asked Friedman if he could do something about a seatbelt ticket she got last May, and he took the citation forms out of a basket at the police station without telling the officer who'd written the ticket. Warden is on administrative leave and Friedman resigned. Neither of them were in court today. They didn't have to be because the charges were misdemeanors. Their attorneys faxed their pleas to court.
The federal government says it will appeal a judgment awarded to the family of 4 people killed in a Marine jet crash in University City. The government acknowledged liability for the crash back in 2008, and the only question was how much it would pay. The Yoon family was awarded $17.8 million in January. They had asked for 3 times that amount.
State election officials are being sued by 2 prisoners' rights groups and the League of Women Voters, who say thousands of criminals should be able to vote after being moved from state prisons to county jails. State prison inmates are not allowed to vote, but since October, thousands of lower-level offenders have been moved to county lockups or to community supervision. The lawsuit claims those offenders should be allowed to vote in June. The Secretary of State's office says prisoners moved through realignment are not eligible to vote.
California's high-speed rail project hasn't even broken ground yet, and the cost keeps going up. The nonpartisan legislative analyst says the state will have to fork over about $700 million a year for phase 1 of the project. The new projections include principal and interest on nearly $10 billion in rail bonds voters approved in 2008. Phase 1 would begin in the Central Valley and provide jobs to an area with high unemployment. The high-speed rail system would eventually extend from San Francisco to San Diego. Critics call it a $98 billion boondoggle, but Governor Jerry Brown is a big supporter. A plan to turn San Diego into one of the most bicycle-friendly cities in the world was laid out today. Mayoral candidate Nathan Fletcher says he wants to increase safety for cyclists on city streets and provide more recreational opportunities. San Diego currently has 510 miles of bike paths, lanes, and routes. Fletcher's plan would expand that to nearly 900 miles. He says by doubling the number of people who bike to work and school, San Diego would eliminate 11 million vehicle trips a year. His plan was inspired by the book Joyride. The author helped turn Portland, Oregon into the top cycling-friendly city in the nation. A key figure in the history of women's rights is in San Diego this week. Joanne is speaking with her over at the Evening Edition Roundtable.
If Texas attorney Sarah Weddington is experiencing flashbacks watching the debate over contraception, who can blame her? Weddington is the lawyer who successfully argued Roe v. Wade before the U.S. Supreme Court 39 years ago. It was a landmark decision making abortion legal. Sarah Weddington joins me in studio. Thank you for being here.
It's my honor.
So you helped make history, and fundamentally you changed women's rights in this country. When you see the debate going on right now in terms of contraception and women's rights, women's access to contraception, what are you thinking?
I would never have thought 39, 40 years ago that that's where we'd be today. In fact, there was a U.S. Supreme Court case in 1965, Griswold versus Connecticut, where states had made the use of contraception illegal. And there was a woman who was a Planned Parenthood director in New Haven, Connecticut, with her doctor who gave a contraceptive device to a married couple. They were arrested, prosecuted, and convicted of being accomplices to the use of a contraceptive device. And the U.S. Supreme Court said there is a right of privacy. And a decision about using contraception is a private decision. And so I think people just assume that that is their right to make their decision. And it was that case I used as the springboard to Roe versus Wade.
Now, Georgetown College student Sandra Fluke, she's become a spokesperson of sorts for women these days. She's the woman who was not able to appear before a congressional meeting in terms of talking about contraception. She's also the woman who right-wing talk show host Rush Limbaugh called a slut. The president has since called her, but she has now become this spokesperson. Do you see a little bit of yourself in her when you see her sort of take on this big issue?
Yes, in the sense that what they did to her was awful. And I think women everywhere saw this group of men sitting there getting ready to testify to Congress about contraception. She should have been allowed to speak. She is a law school student. She is in her 20s or early 30s, I
30
think.
years old.
Yeah. I mean, there was every reason to let her. So I'm glad that Rush Limbaugh's comments caused him to lose some sponsors, that he has since sort of apologized, but not in a way that you really think, oh, he apologized. No. So I'm very glad that she is becoming a focus, because she's also a symbol of the fact that women should be involved in this conversation.
I want to take you back 39 years ago to that courtroom. I watched a short clip of you last night on YouTube. As you entered the courtroom, you described in this interview that you had a flashback. Just before you were about to present your arguments to the Supreme Court. You had had an illegal abortion in Mexico, and you said, quote, "No woman should have to go through that, and I would do anything I could to see that that was not necessary." How important was it to you to win this case?
Oh, absolutely important. For a number of reasons. One is a lot of doctors in Texas had worked with me on getting ready for this argument. And they, as medical interns and residents, had worked in our public hospitals with what they call the IOB wards, the infected obstetrics wards. And there were often women there who had done self-abortion, illegal abortion, who were about to lose their fertility, their lives, all kinds of problems. And so those medical students, then doctors, were trying to save them. And they kept emphasizing how it was so important that we make abortion legal, because otherwise women would have illegal abortion. And that's what, when people say to me, what will happen if abortion becomes illegal, the clear answer is women will have illegal abortion. Now, go ahead.
There have been several states that have passed laws that sort of restrict abortion. And there's some speculation that if the Supreme Court changes, it's sort of these states are anticipating that Roe v. Wade could be overturned. Do you think that's possible?
It's possible, but I don't think it'll happen right now, because you look at who the members of the U.S. Supreme Court are, and they don't have the votes they need to overturn Roe versus Wade. That's part of why who's the next president becomes so important, because if one of the current judges were to leave the court, then it's up to the president to appoint someone to become a U.S. Supreme Court justice, and the vote is so close that could really make the difference. So we're very concerned about who's going to be the new president. You look back in history, and California was one of the places women could go for legal abortion. There was a flight that left Dallas Love Field every Thursday with women coming to California for abortion and returning that weekend. And it was Ronald Reagan who was the governor and signed that bill into law. So California and New York were the places that women could go. And so it's one of the reasons why California is so important, because it was a place that women could come for good, safe, legal abortion.
Why do you think this shift? It's been 39 years. Is it that do young women take for granted rights won by women like you, or what? Why are we still having this debate?
You know, I think to some extent it is that there are people who are in law school today that hadn't even been born when I was working on Roe versus Wade. It is history. And so I think they have come to accept that, yes, there's a lot of public conversation, and yes, there are people who are totally opposed to my position, but surely it would always be legal to use contraception. Surely it would be legal to have an abortion if you needed one. And so for me, part of the reason I'm traveling and speaking is to try to say to people younger than myself, and almost everybody is, we really need your help in terms of voting, in terms of being active participants in the civil discourse, to try to be sure that we say that is your decision, not the government's. And so we are reaching out and trying to share with a younger group of women and men.
I want to show it's sort of the text of your opening argument to the U.S. Supreme Court, where you open by saying, we are not here to advocate abortion. We do not ask this court to rule that abortion is good or desirable in any particular situation. We are here to advocate that the decision whether or not a particular woman will continue to carry or will terminate a pregnancy is a decision that should be made by that individual, that in fact she has a constitutional right to make that decision for herself. Has the debate really been confused with religion and morality rather than this fundamental constitutional right for women?
I definitely think those who are opposed often take a more religious. When I spoke in South Carolina last week, I had a man who stood up and said, the religious, and you often get people who say, but I believe this, I believe that. And what I'm trying to say is, it's not your belief that should matter. It is that woman and her situation, her family, her ability to work with and support her family that should be her decision. She knows it better than anybody. And it shouldn't be anybody else who makes that decision for her.
In an odd twist to this story, I want to talk a little bit about the woman in this case, in this landmark case, Roe, dubbed Roe. Her actual name is Norma McCorvey. Again, last night I'm watching a video of her doing an interview. She was very pro-choice for a number of years, and then a few years ago became an evangelical Christian, and now is with a group that fights against choice. And she says in this interview, she says there's really never a day that goes by that we don't think of how we can overturn Roe versus Wade. What do you think when you hear her say that, knowing what you know about her back from 39 years ago?
Well, first, I think it's an honest statement that she spends a lot of time and effort working with people who want to overturn the decision. But when she was in a situation where she was pregnant and she didn't want to be, she wanted it to be legal for her to have an abortion. You see, I think, again, it's not up to her to say to somebody else what it should be. And so she obviously has the right to make her own decision. For 25 years, she was pro-choice. In recent years, she's been anti, but that's not the question. And the case was not for one person. It was a class action. So it was for all women who were or might become pregnant and want the option of abortion. And I still think that all women should have that ability to decide to have an abortion, to decide not to have an abortion, to decide to put a pregnancy once there's a birth up for adoption. That should be her decision.
Sarah Weddington, we don't have a lot of time left, but what would you want to tell young women today?
Well, first I would say that it is, you look back as I was growing up, and there were so many limits on what women could do. Women couldn't even run full court in basketball. We got half court and 2 dribbles. We didn't get credit unless our fathers or our husbands signed for us. Now most people get a credit card offer every week. We didn't get to make decisions about our own reproductive. We didn't get to go to law school. I was in the first group of women who went to law school. We didn't get equal pay. And so what we've been doing all these years is trying to push back barriers so that women could make more decisions. On May the 3rd, Cecile Richards will be here, who is the president of Planned Parenthood, for their annual dinner. And I think the things that she says and does are so important. She's a very good spokesperson. So what I would want to say to them is, don't let them take this right away. It should be your decision, but only if you fight to save it will it be kept.
Sarah Weddington, thank you for being here.
My honor.
Bonnie Dumanis says nearly 40 years in San Diego gives her an advantage in the mayor's race. In a moment, we'll hear from her in our continuing series on the mayoral candidates. This is KPBS Evening Edition.
I'm Gwen Eichel on the next News Hour, the path to the Republican nomination after Super Tuesday. That's Wednesday on the PBS News Hour.
Hi, I'm Billy McLaughlin, and I hope you'll tune in for my concert, Starry Night with Orchestra Nova, right here on KPBS.
Premieres March 18th at 8 on KPBS.
The American people have named PBS
The most trusted source of news and public affairs for the 8th year in a row. Trust. The American people have spoken.
Thank you.
KPBS Evening Edition is made possible by Joan and Irwin Jacobs and by
State regulators have ordered more public hearings on San Diego Gas and Electric's proposal to pass wildfire costs onto its customers. The State Public Utilities Commission says it wants more public comment and has ordered hearings to take place in Kearny Mesa on April 5th. Longtime County District Attorney Bonnie Dumanis wants to be the next mayor of San Diego. The Republican is stressing her decades of experience working in San Diego, but her history may present some challenges as well. In our continuing series on the race for mayor, KPBS Metro reporter Katie Orr has this profile.
As San Diego County District Attorney Bonnie Dumanis strolls through Little Italy with her dog Abby trotting beside her, it's easy to see she feels at home in the neighborhood, and the neighborhood seems to embrace her as well.
Bonnie! 40. Hey, Anthony!
Dumanis says she and her wife Denise often walk Abby through the historic Italian neighborhood. She says she likes that it's easy to walk to places in Little Italy, and she enjoys the many restaurants and dog-friendly atmosphere the area provides. Dumanis says she's lived all over San Diego, from the college area to Mission Valley to Rolando. And she says her nearly 40 years in the city set her apart from her 3 main competitors.
It's different than somebody that comes in once a weekend from Washington or from Sacramento or who just came, several years ago. So I think I have a depth and breadth of experience that no one else has, which gives me, I think, the relationships to, get things done.
One of Dumanis' priorities as mayor would be to restructure the makeup of the San Diego School Board. That would include adding 4 board members who would be appointed by the mayor and creating an independent financial oversight board. A similar measure to expand the school board failed to get enough signatures to qualify for the June ballot. But Dumanis says education reform is important because a district on the brink of insolvency hurts the entire city.
Education is at the core of everything we do in San Diego. And I have seen it as the district attorney. If you don't invest in your education system early on, we pay for it in many ways at the other end.
Dumanis has been San Diego's district attorney since 2002. She's widely regarded as one of the most powerful politicians in the county. She cites her experience running the DA's office as one of her strongest qualifications for mayor. But Dumanis has also drawn fierce criticism for some of her decisions. For instance, her office declined to file charges against Armando Perez after he was arrested for allegedly kidnapping and assaulting his estranged wife, Diana Gonzalez. Dumanis says there was not enough evidence to prosecute the case. A few weeks later, Perez allegedly stabbed Gonzalez to death in a bathroom at San Diego City College. Perez was recently arrested in Mexico. Dumanis says her office has since established a high-risk team to work on cases like Gonzalez's. But she says it's her job to make tough decisions, even if the public doesn't always understand them.
Our office, though, is charged with a duty, and that duty is to not file criminal cases unless we can prove them beyond a reasonable doubt. And where we can't, again, the buck stops with me, and our office, our attorneys make those decisions based on the information that they have, the evidence they have at hand.
Dumanis says she's happy to be held accountable for her decisions, and she says she has a proven track record of doing the right thing, not just trying to please people. And she says if elected, she plans to reorganize how the city's run, fix the city's infrastructure, and work with city unions to help restore their pride in working for San Diego. But she might face an uphill battle. Dumanis, like the other 2 Republicans in the race, supports the pension reform initiative that would replace pensions with 401ks for most new hires. She says it's a necessary step.
Our pensions right now are unaffordable, unsustainable. We have got to do something about that. If we don't, we cannot reach fiscal stability. So I support it, but the important part is the implementation. You need someone that has a history of implementing, that can get real results and save real money.
An estimate last year by voiceofsandiego.org put Dumanis' annual county pension at more than $200,000. Dumanis says she will not enroll in the city pension system and will donate her mayoral salary to educational programs. But while her tenure has inspired controversy for some, it's also earned her respect with others, including possible voters.
You know, our son is the deputy DA in Weld County, Colorado.
No kidding.
And putting the bad guys away.
All right.
That's what my grandson said. He puts the bad guys in jail.
As he should.
Good to see
All right. Good to see you, too.
It's that kind of enthusiasm Dumanis is hoping voters bring to the polls as she seeks to make her next mark on San Diego.
Thank you.
Tomorrow night, Katie wraps up the series with a profile of Congressman Bob Filner. For information on the other candidates running for San Diego mayor, go to our website, kpbs.org/mayor. A bronze version of a kissing couple could become a permanent feature on the San Diego waterfront. A group that wants to donate the statue has been given a year to raise nearly $1 million for the project. The statue standing there now has to be returned to the Sculpture Foundation by mid-May. In a moment, a look at a San Diego-produced video that's gone viral on the internet. This is KPBS Evening Edition.
It's your economy,
your health,
your environment,
your country,
and it's your choice for president.
Need to Know, covering the issues that matter to you most.
Watch Need to Know, Friday night at 8:30 on KPBS.
Because of our members, it's possible for everyone around us to discover something new every day. right here on KPBS. And in doing so, our members make this a better and stronger community. Thanks for your support.
America is 300 million people using power, eating food, going places, and making things. I'm Yul Kwan. Join me as we see why making life easy is harder than it looks. This is America Revealed. Coming in April, only on PBS.
Welcome back to the Public Square on KPBS Evening Edition. Earlier, you heard from the attorney who successfully argued the Roe v. Wade case and her thoughts on the current debate over a woman's right to contraception. I want to hear your thoughts on this issue and whether this discussion belongs in the political arena. And have you seen this?
Who are you to end a war? I'm here to tell you, who are you not to?
It's a video campaign that's gone viral, an attempt by the San Diego group Invisible Children to bring attention to accused war criminal Joseph Kony. Kony is head of the violent Ugandan guerrilla group, the Lord's Resistance Army. In about a day, the 30-minute video had more than 10 million hits and climbing. It's what people are talking about in the social media world, and tomorrow we'll talk about the media and the message. Send me an email with any of your comments, good or bad. I will try to respond within the week, and I may use some of them on air. Now, let's go back to the news desk where Dwayne has a recap of the day's top stories.
Military commanders are taking a close look at a Facebook page run by a Camp Pendleton Marine. The Armed Forces Tea Party page features a prominent No Obama logo. Sergeant Gary Stein says he's trying to encourage free speech. Commanders say they want to make sure he's not breaking Defense Department rules. An El Cajon councilwoman has resigned days after the FBI searched her home and her former business. Agents are not saying why they searched the home of Jillian Hanson Cox. Next week, El Cajon City Council will have to decide whether to appoint someone to her position or leave it vacant until the November election. And San Diego councilman and mayoral candidate Carl DeMaio is questioning the fire department's overtime costs. In his annual report on the city payroll, DeMaio notes a $16.5 million spike in overtime for the fire department. Some of it's connected to the end of the department's brownouts. The firefighters union also says there are fewer firefighters now, so they're working more. You can watch and comment on any of the stories you saw tonight on our website, kpbs.org/evening edition. Thanks for joining us. You have a great night. We leave you with a look at the forecast.